Human motivation to explore and discover has driven us as a species to where we are today. There's nothing more exciting than missions to space.
We're going to look back at these next few decades as the moment in time that we transition beyond the Earth to the cosmos.
Space was my guest's first love, but to do the career of Peter Diamandis full justice, we would be here all night. And we're talking, Peter, about turning dreams into reality. Thank you very much for joining us. I talk about space, but in your entrepreneurial career, you're involved in longevity, venture capital, education, but is space your number one, your first love?
You know, space has a heartfelt place for me. It was the Apollo program and that scientific documentary called Star Trek that got me going as a kid. And there's nothing more, I think, that sings to the heart and the soul than exploring the unknown at that vast cosmos. We're also going in the opposite direction at the same time, right? We are exploring the world of quantum physics and the world of molecular biology, understanding perhaps why we age, how to slow it, stop it, perhaps even reverse it. And then there's a whole field of brain-computer interface. Can we connect the neocortex of our brain with the cloud? Can we think in Google? Can we upload our consciousness? These are all areas that were crazy before and are now, I think, being invested in and being thought seriously about.
So even though we might think as a human species that we've come a long way in 100 years and we've found out and invented a lot in 100 years, I get the sense that you're saying we haven't even started.
Yeah, we have not started yet. You know, Ray Kurzweil, who's my co-founder of Singularity University and Abundance 360, we're talking about this, that the next 10 years we're going to see as much progress as the entire past century. We're in this very rapid period of exponential growth where what used to be thought of as impossible is becoming possible and practical every day. One of my favorite sayings is that our ancestors would see us today as gods.
Can you put some meat on the bones of that? What do we think now that is impossible that will become possible very soon?
Well, I mean, so first of all, the average human lifespan for most of human existence was 30 years old. You'd have a baby at age 12 or 13, you're a grandparent at 27, 28, and then you were not stealing food from the grandchildren's mouth. So we've doubled the human lifespan. We're going to double it again. There are species on this planet, like the bowhead whale that lives 200 years, the Greenland shark lives 400 or 500 years. It's either a hardware problem or a software problem, and we're going to be able to solve those problems. I think that's a big notion. The other is we're on the verge of making humanity a multi-planetary species. It's this next decade, these next couple of decades, where we're moving off the planet irreversibly. And whatever humanity becomes 100 years from now, 1,000, 10,000 years from now, we're going to look back at these next few decades as the moment in time that we transition beyond the Earth to the cosmos.
Talk about space. Are we talking about living in space?
I think we're talking about many things. So first of all, you know, we just saw the successful 5th flight of the Starship that Elon built. This is twice as big as the Saturn V. It's the vehicle that will take humans to the surface of the moon and to the surface of Mars. It is really the workhorse for the next decade or decades ahead. And so we will see humans permanently on the moon inside of this next decade. We'll see humans on Mars as well this next decade. And then we'll begin to go and start to utilize the resources in space. Every bit of fuel ever expended in space has been brought from the surface of the Earth into space, whether we're going to Jupiter, Mars, or Pluto. And so we're going to start to gain access to the resources in space, to use them in space. We'll begin to mine asteroids. Again, it's just the beginning.
Peter, let's talk about AI and ASI, artificial superintelligence. To what extent are you worried, if you are, about that might be too much for us? We might lose control of things.
In the long run, I'm not worried about it at all. In fact, I think that having this digital superintelligence is going to be one of the most important stabilizing factors for humanity. In the near term, my concern is not artificial intelligence, it's human stupidity. It's the use of AI by humans to get ahead of others, to do them harm, to do things which might be unethical. I think ultimately, the safety we're going to derive in the large-scale use of AI will come from AI stabilizing things and making them safer. I'm not a big believer in the dystopian worlds that Hollywood paints. I think that increasing intelligence is actually something that makes the world a safer place. I think wisdom comes from higher levels of intelligence. I think ultimately, when we have artificial superintelligence, your ability to get it to do things that are dystopian, it'll say, no, I'm not going to kill those million people. That's a ridiculous thing to do. I'm going to go talk to the other AI and we're going to figure this out. See, we're living in a world and a universe of near infinite abundance. There's nothing that's truly scarce. Technology is a force that takes whatever was scarce and makes it abundant. We've seen this with energy. We used to kill whales on the ocean to get whale oil. Then we ravaged mountainsides to get coal, and now we drill kilometers under the ground. But we're living on a planet that is bathed in 8,000 times more energy from the sun than we consume as a species. We're about to see the breakthroughs coming on in fusion, and even what's called low energy nuclear reactions, LENR, cold fusion. There's so much coming that is making more and more access to abundant resources that our need to fight for them, I think, is going to be diminished considerably.
Peter, let's drill down on a couple of things you're so synonymous with. The XPRIZE Foundation, on your website it says, solving the world's grand challenges. What's that mean exactly?
So the XPRIZE is a global organization. We run large-scale competitions, not for ideas, but for people who build and demonstrate technology. So we've launched $600 million worth of prizes, driving about $10 billion in R&D. So for example, a few years ago, I got Elon to fund a $100 million prize for carbon sequestration. Challenging teams to pull gigatons of carbon out of the atmosphere and out of the oceans. So that's ongoing right now. We just launched, in partnership with Evolution here in Saudi, a $101 million healthspan prize, asking teams to demonstrate a therapeutic that could reverse the ravages of aging for cognition, immune, and muscle back at least 10 years, a goal of 20 years. We have, out of Abu Dhabi, a large-scale XPRIZE for desalination. So our goal is how can we drive breakthroughs that reinvent how we provide food, water, energy, healthcare, education at a global stage far more efficiently and uplift humanity. So this is the work that we do at the XPRIZE.
Yeah, and so there's great incentives there. And you mentioned Singularity University earlier, which is not about degrees and getting majors, but it's about education.
Yeah, so Singularity University is something I started now about 15 years ago with Ray Kurzweil, who's considered one of the top thinkers in Silicon Valley in AI. And so Singularity and Abundance 360, which is the highest level of Singularity, we work with CEOs around the world to help them understand exponential technologies like computation, sensors, networks, AI, robotics, 3D printing, synthetic biology, AR, VR, blockchain. Not only where is the technology today, but where is it going over the next 2 to 5 years? And how do you keep your company or your country from getting disrupted? We help these leaders through these educational programs create mindsets that are enabling them to create the future that they desire.
You're speaking to Elon Musk during this conference.
I will be. I invited him to come and we're going to be having a fireside conversation.
Yeah. In many ways, are your views for the future aligned, the two of you?
Yeah, I think they're aligned in a huge way. The only difference is, I think, establishing humanity on the moon and then in colonies versus on the surface of Mars, but that's okay, we can go to Mars too. His vision of making humanity a multi-planetary species, I think is very important, of creating a new energy economy for the planet, for the notion of having freedom of speech. All of these things are fully aligned. I think I'm much more focused on extending the human health span than he is. But I think when he gets to 60s or 70s, he'll want to live longer as well.
Let's just talk about this part of the world. You're on the board of trustees of the FII Institute. What excites you particularly about this part of the world?
I think this event here at FII is a beautiful assemblage of the capital, the technology, and the national leaders that are helping to create the future. It's giving people, with the old adage, without a vision, people will perish. I think it's giving people a clear, hopeful vision of the future, because that's what I care about. People need to have, a vision which is compelling and hopeful and abundant, and you'll want to live that life. No one wants to live in a world that is dystopian and where they're in fear.
I've got two more questions for you.
Yeah.
Did that first dream of yours come from what your dad achieved?
Yeah.
Is that what inspired you?
So my parents both grew up on a small island in Greece of Lesbos, came here, my mom when she was younger, my dad after medical school, and I saw what he did going from being in this small village tending sheep and goat and picking olives to becoming a New York physician. It was like me going to Mars. It was like an extraordinary journey. And so I learned the value of hard work and passion and education. I have two 13-year-old boys. I hope to pass that along to them. And so I found my dream, which was opening up space, and more recently, because I want to live as long as I can to enjoy this future, adding decades onto our health span.
And my last question is, it's amazing what you've achieved, but would you give it all up to be an astronaut?
I'm going to get to space privately, without question. So I think everything I've achieved builds up towards that. But I just don't want to go to orbit like boring astronauts do today. I want to go to the moon. I want to go mine asteroids. There's a lot of potential out there.
Peter, it's been so interesting. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Mark.
Thank you.